Hello, and welcome to another episode of Backyard Progression with me, Brown and Kenku. It's where I go through my backyard and document some of the changes and improvements that I've been making. Although lately it's been kind of rough, I haven't exactly been getting out and doing the things that I feel like I should be. I don't know. It's one of those things where I've been focusing on my cat and trying to make the space around here a little nicer. And with the heat, with the overgrowth, everything is it's a lot. Um, it's hard to motivate yourself to get out there when it's smoke filled and poor air quality. And my sugars have actually been really okay considering I added rice back into my diet. I was able to find a nice parboil that was only like 13 carbs per serving, so that has really boosted my mood in ways that I can't really truly explain. But also throughout here, I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty sure I can start harvesting these wild chives seeds. I got a spot picked out. We're gonna see if it worked, how it worked, all that jazz. Um, I'm curious, but still, it'll be something to see one way or another. Like, if not, I wasted, an hour maybe collecting some seeds. If it works, I have close onions and I can enjoy that. It's it's really annoying to grow things. Not just plants either, like as yourself or like a community. There's so much work, hopefully for a decent payoff, but most of the time someone ends up getting burnt out. And not everything is linear, so like people have issues in their therapy and working on themselves. We all regress. We all take time where we need to understand and better incorporate the things that we've learned into our system. It's important every now and again to take one step back for every two steps forward. Like, we're still making progress, but some of it can't be appreciated unless we take a step back. So I'm not like actively letting this wild out, but it's just what has been happening. And that has its own merit. I'm definitely down to see, like, with what I've done, how do the paths hold up? How are the trails holding up without much attendance? I am still pretty aggressive in removing dead wood and kind of like cleaning up broken and fallen branches, especially if they're in the path. But for the most part, maybe because of the air quality, I'm very reluctant to reduce any number of plants at the moment because we need all the good oxygen we can get. Like, I too often think of my yard as an oxygen farm. We just have so many plants, so much uh, natural space, I guess is the best way to say it. It's wild. It's something to see. Like, if you look at the map, like topographical map of your area, it's it's very obvious which one is my yard compared to the rest of the street. Because we have trees everywhere. We have this nice forested area, and it's something. It's special, but unfortunately, like, it's not given value. It has wealth, sure. I could be probably making money with this land either by having storage facilities or like farming, or I personally wanted to get into solar or something along those lines, but the logistics of that is kind of weird. So it would be nice. It'd be great for this place to be paying for itself. Because currently it's not doing a whole lot, but I feel like I kind of cursed myself when I was young. I, in a very monkey's paw way, wished, I hope that I have a job that will pay for my hobbies and I'll be able to enjoy life without having to work too hard. So, post-pandemic, I've been living very minimally. My hobbies have kind of dried up as far as, like, things that cost money. So, it's interesting to me in that way. Like, working outside doesn't cost anything. And streaming, for the most part, doesn't cost a whole lot. It's funny in its own right that things can be the way they are, but what are you gonna do? I mean, it's just gonna work out the way things work out. In a lot of the AI discussion that's been going on, I've been thinking about people in that regard. We're all these blank AIs when we start. We are given all of these different stimuli through our life and our being raised, going to school. It's a lot of people debate whether or not we have free will, because we are this kind of programmed person, such that, like, it's just part of our system. Like, we're gonna react the way we do in the situation we're in. I would really interested, but I have no idea how or what ethical way you could even test stuff like that. It's unfortunate society worked out the way it did. And we could be doing so much more for the people who are less fortunate. But beyond that, like, understanding that the less fortunate aren't that way because of negative decisions they've made. Like, not everyone can win. It's a funny thing that gets attributed to millennials being the participation trophy generation or whatever. And we didn't want that. We're not the ones who made that happen. That's on boomers and Gen X, truly. Like, not even Gen X, because, like, kinda. But they wanted us to have a better situation than what we did. They wanted us to feel better and not be so callous, I guess. Put less emphasis on winning. Like, or de-escalate losing. Probably be a better way to think about it. Which is two different things. If you're in a position where you lose and you're gonna get yelled at by your parents or general trauma, abuse, whatever, uh, you're gonna do a lot to not lose. Tests, whatnot. It's one of those like natural imperatives. But for the most part, if you de-escalate losing, it becomes more about actually learning. And like, if I have to understand this thing practically and I understand why I need it, then suddenly you become engaged in the process. You can understand better where you're coming from, where this person teaching you is coming from, and why. Like, it's so absent from the way we learn things now. But every now and again you run into a situation where it's not quite the way it works. You like discover you need to do something of your own volition, so you seek out YouTube or whatever. Or any situation where you want to learn something new and actually like put it in the forefront of the things you're doing. It's so wonderful and so motivating to have that. Like, the most recent thing for me personally, I tried to learn a new deck. Um, I was inspired by the European Championships of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I decided, okay, Rika isn't going away. It's a valuable and worthwhile deck I can invest into for now. It was a good shot of that bird. And the combo line is very interesting. Like, it's for those not into Yu-Gi-Oh. So there's certain plays that will lead into almost like a combo in a fighting game. Like, you have this big string that sometimes you can branch off of, and for the most part, you want to know your bread and butter combo like all the way through. And some of the variations are important, but like for the most part, you just want to know this block. And some are definitely harder than others for more or less. It's interesting when things are difficult in some ways. You get a little bit more satisfaction when you can complete them, you can understand, but boy is the learning process frustrating. Like, if you didn't have that drive and you hit that loss, I've been seeing it in some people playing harder games lately too. If you don't have the drive to keep going, sometimes a loss can feel insurmountable and you can just be put into a stop. I'm gonna switch over to the next, which works very seamlessly now that I'm on different software. So especially when you lose and you don't understand why. Like, there are plenty of situations that are impossible to plan for. Like, I think about board games a lot because there are a lot of weird rules lawyers for board games with laid out instructions, very, for the most part, very clear. Like, this is what you do, this is how you play. There's usually like some joker who's like, oh, the game doesn't say you can't do it, so you can. Like, not always. No, it's not quite how this works. But certain people really love that argument. Like, if it's not illegal, it must be possible, yeah? It's like, sure, but it also involves me not wanting to play games with you if you're not going to play within the framework that we're established. It's very much a societal thing. Like, if you don't follow the contract of society, if you don't work with me in like making sure that everyone feels pretty comfy and like understanding of what's okay and what's not okay, um, that's where we get into some weird criminal stuff and some generally goofy people. Like, some people see the social contract and go, yeah, okay, I get it. Some people, like, actively are like, okay, but I'm getting fucked over by the social contract. I'm gonna break the rules. But then there's other... I call them goofy, because it's like, I see your rules. I'm going to play within these rules. But I'm gonna do it in a real weird way. Like, you get a lot of these, like, not quite... I'm trying to figure out how to explain what I'm thinking about. It's practical jokers is kind of like concept. Like walking down the street and honking or making an animal noise at a passerby is not illegal, but it's really going to mess with that person for the rest of their day. Uh, and there's a level of childlike wonder and like mischievousness that's completely benign that gets lost in adulthood, and it's so important to like cheer you up and like keep things interesting is probably the wrong word, but it's fascinating for sure. Like just all the different aspects that we lose as we adhere to this game that we've set up. The problem that a lot of people face is we learn specific misinformation as fact. And we take that into our day-to-day. And we end up not questioning it because it just became so ingrained in our system and our setup. You get different things like, well, we have to wear clothes, right? Because it's a social norm. And some people don't want to, you know, have their bits exposed. Not everyone wants to see it. Sure, that's a fair enough social contract reason. And it's hard to trust a lot of penis havers to be reasonable in a lot of ways. But that should be on them. Like, I talk about this a lot, but there's a lot of regulations and things that are regulating people. So, for poor impulse control, and that seems wrong. Like, you're punishing the wrong people. Like, if a person sees I don't know, something on the way out of the store and just grabs it, takes it, they felt compelled. You charge that person. You don't, like, charge the thing for being tempting, which was a very annoying thing growing up in a world of rape culture. It's really unfortunate to have people in power saying, like, well, you were asking for it because you were wearing something that was revealing. Like, no. You have to do that with your mouth. You have to say the words that I want this. You have to consent. And just that worldview is being so off base. Because so many people have so much that they're hiding from their past. It's like, sure, the culture was different then. But lots of powerful people probably raped some people. unfortunate. It's... It goes into my talks about... I made a big deal last week about prisons not being actually good for the people who go into them, because that would actually, help them, which we should be doing because they're still members of society. Like, malevolence seems to have won out over benevolence, and the care about others is truly given up. It's truly unfortunate the way things are and how things are going. I would love to see more socialist ideas because they help people, like libraries, like public school, like food stamps and unemployment. Like, these are all great social security systems. Like, sure, they're social, they're socialist, but is that a bad thing? It's... I guess a lot of the change that I want to see in this world is well beyond my reach. So it's very frustrating. It's very understandable. I'm gonna fall at some point on this walk back. Yeah. Wasn't great, but, just wanted to warn people. It's still not great at falling. I need to get way better at that. But I don't put any effort behind that, because there isn't, like, A, I could just not fall as much. That's an option. B, I could hurt myself in practicing falling. So, understanding the barriers to your attention is pretty important. Like, without having someone knowledgeable in the scenario, in the what goes on here, it's sometimes in our best interest to not do the thing. And that feels weird to say as a do the thing person. There's only so much attention that we give to things in a day. It's important to put the things that are important to us in front of ourselves so that we do them. Like, I'm going to give everyone their daily reminder, make sure they've taken their meds. And that brings that kind of thing to the forefront. And be like, oh, right, I haven't done that today. And then, like, just sometimes a subtle reminder of, like, the things that we're supposed to be doing can jog our memory and, like, really bring it to the fore of, oh yeah, there's this activity. Especially when you're in a depressive state, you kind of lose the world that you've, like, built for yourself. And things that were pleasurable to do before kind of get lost, and they don't become options, or they're not seen as options. So having little reminders and being like, oh yeah, I like these things. It's been nice getting back into video games and, like, playing a wide variety of stuff, having a wide variety of stuff to play. It really makes it interesting. Being able to explore different Minecraft packs has been really good. I am going through different sets of games, and the ones I'm playing now seem to be less popular, but they were important for me in my childhood, and like they are and feel like good games. It was really unfortunate playing a game that is well loved, but I hate it. Like, I think about this often because I'm tempted to learn and start playing Fortnite because it's a very social game. A lot of good social interaction can happen and come from playing Fortnite. I don't like that style of game. I wouldn't be having fun playing necessarily, except as the social aspect of that game. So, understanding the barriers and like what's good for you is going to be very different. It's hard to be the person in the position to do what's best for you when it's not what's common. So, and all of this is just part of the journey of learning yourself, which doesn't get enough credit. It's important to know who you are, what your limits are, what's going to be good for you, and go from there. Like, bending yourself to the will of people around you just so you have a social life is not going to amount to something that's important unless you can say, like, hey, I don't like this. I like you guys. You're great. But I would like to do other things sometimes. You know? Because if you're betraying yourself, you're not truly going to enjoy your time. Because there's this weird imposter syndrome for situations like that. It's so difficult to navigate being a human. I hope everyone has a good rest of their week. I hope that everyone's pets had a very quiet night. It's unfortunate that there's some problems with that, but it's part of the holiday, I guess. So hopefully no one has to deal with it much anymore. I hope everyone does well and makes their own life a little bit better and more accessible for them. So, thank you all for watching. I appreciate everyone who stops by the stream. I try to make sure this stuff gets managed, but I am not feeling great, so I'm going to end this stream here. I appreciate everyone who comes out. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe on YouTube. Check out my stuff. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to check me out on Twitch. Twitch.tv/BrownKenku. I play games Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturdays, and Sunday. Alright, till next time everyone. Peace.